Alright y'all, here's the thermostat video. And I'll be pretty much talking about how to remove these hoses while I'm at it. If your thermostat is leaking, and you're probably hitting your VTEC and romping on it, and you get home and your reservoir's low, but you check your radiator after some time and your radiator's full, well, just drive home slow once you get some coolant. Because as long as you drive slow, it'll leak very little. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm replacing that thermostat gasket today, and I'm just going to put a new thermostat in there anyway. I mean, my thermostat's working right now, but why not put a new one? I'm in there. But yeah, you can see it's getting coolant all over my nicely painted tranny, and even on the bottom. See that? And I haven't wired these guys up today or yet, so I might do that today. You never know. We'll see. Because this light took the spot where my bracket was. I'm gonna have to modify that eventually, but till then I'm keeping my stock license plate mount. But yeah, gonna go to Napa. Gotta get the thermostat and the seal, and then we'll be back with this bad boy. Alright, alright. So, Nova went to the doggy park this morning before we started. Now we're getting into the thermostat. First things first. Got my petcock ready in my cooler right now. But geez, Dad, what? It went onto my pan. I had a small leakage. My hand is drenched in coolant, nice and sticky. I put this plastic in there because the petcock is spraying back there and dripping down there. So yeah, I'm just gonna let that sucker drain. Probably gonna pop it open more because you see it's still draining real slow. Here. And then I'll get the hoses off. I'm definitely gonna take these hoses off. Maybe not the top one, maybe just the bottom one, so I could get back there. And I'm pretty sure it's just two 10mm bolts. We'll see. I'm gonna clip that guy. Hopefully that gas comes out in one piece. This is all Honda's fault, y'all. Did they not try their petcock with this plastic? Like, what's the point of putting this plastic hole if you gotta wait freaking 10 minutes for it to drain? Because you could only barely crack it. Because look, I barely cracked it a teeny bit, and it's dripping back here, and it's leaking all over here. Dad was loving on Nova, so he didn't see it. But I told him, because if you look in there, this sucker has like this much room between the frame and where it drains from the petcock. So that just sucks. Alright guys, so this is what I'm doing first. I'm loosening this gasket. Not this gasket. The hose that actually goes into where the thermostat is, I'm loosening first. I'm going to move it out of my way so it's easier for me to access that 10mm. I'm pretty sure it's a 10mm. And I put my hand in here and grab the clip. And while I was grabbing it from this side, I had my other hand over here pushing it off. Make sure the rest of the coolant's coming out. I'd squeeze from the top down. I'm learning with y'all. First time I'm replacing my cooler. I think we just ran out of propane.
Dude, damn.
Just ran out of propane.
Based on coverage limit
shit, it smells like it's still going. Can you see?
Or it just unplugged it. You could definitely fit a ratchet in right here. I'm gonna pop my trunk. Well, I was able to fit my ratchet in there with the short 10mm on it. The longer one. So you definitely want a long 10mm extension. So we'll go grab that. Alright. Now I'm trying for his back 10mm. I think this back one would be better with the short 10mm. Sorry if I look goofy, I'm wearing my girlfriend's jacket. There's the only jacket in my car and freaking jacket I always have in my trunk for when I'm gonna get dirty. It's wet. Wet and frozen. I'm guessing that one of my trunk seals are going out. Ooh. That scared me. I thought I broke it. So since I busted it loose, I'm gonna get the 10mm wrench so it fit in there easily. As you can see, this hose is kind of in your way when you're trying to crank your ratchet. I'll show you. Alright guys, now that the ratchet's finally on it, ratchet wrench, you can see where the other 10mm is. The first one's right here on top where I showed you earlier, and then that's where the second one is down here. So, I'm going to finish ratcheting that. You can see what I mean, this hose and that hose are kind of in the way of the ratchet. This 12mm ratchet wrench works perfect. If you don't have a ratchet wrench, it's alright, just take your time with the 12mm. Alright guys, I just want to show you this. I've seen that the thermostat's already pulling away from the block, so yeah, you can see that. So before I take the back bolt out, I'm going to take this hose off while I can, so that way I can actually pull the thermostat housing out with it. So just take your time tucking your rag under it. A little hard. Woo. And since I drained the coolant, not much came out of there. So now I'm gonna just take this hose, bend it up a little like that. Like that, so it's out of my way. And now, tuck this rag a little farther under the thermostat. And I'm going to pull the second 10mm out with my hand since it's already almost out. This thing sucks. Every time, you know, and like I could sit here and press it right now with my thumb and it won't go off. But only when I lean on it, well, I'm deaf. Anywho, forget that in my pocket. Or I went deaf. This is what happened. I was leaning on the fender right here while I was doing this. Alright, I need to get the wrench because I thought I had it almost all the way, but I don't. Alright, so I finally got the 10mm in the back off. Now I could pull the thermostat housing out. Oh, look at that. I would have never known if I didn't replace my thermostat. But it looks like there's a ground. Look at that. There's a ground on my thermostat. You see that? You see the coolant on it. But yeah, that's what the inside looks like. And right there, you see that ground? I'm gonna definitely clean this up for sure, but I'm gonna set it to the side a little, clean it up, and now you can see the, where's it at? The thermostat, right here. So I'm gonna put this rag under it and wiggle it out. Woo! She's in there, man. I think I'm gonna get a flathead and stick it in this top up here. Stick it in there and pull it out. Alright, so a little bit of coolant came out. Ooh! Grab a towel. Jeez, guys, a ton just came out of there. Damn, I didn't even know. Shit. Well, you just learned firsthand with me. Gosh dang it, I need to go get another rag. Look at this. Got this whole area wet. That towel was soaked. Thank God I had it. But yeah, I don't know if you guys seen that. It just started rushing out of there. Glad I had the rag right next to it, because look, you can tell it just went shot down that way and went down the tranny. Yeah, you can see right there, dripping all along the side of my tranny. Dang. Well, glad I had the rag and the towel, because I caught most of it before it went everywhere. So now I'm going to clean this crap up. Alright guys, so took care of the coolant mess, and now I'll tell you, before you pull your thermostat out, make sure you have your other one ready to go. So now we'll pull this guy out and get him ready, because check it out. This is the brand I went with. Here's the number. This was $44, and it's supposed to be like the OEM one. And I bought the Napa's $6 thermostat ring. Now, I don't know how these pieces right here are supposed to go on. Honestly, I hope it don't matter, so I'm gonna just set it on there real quick. You can see it like separates in the middle, so you set the thermostat in the middle of it. I'll show you how easy that is. So there you go. Thermostat is on. And this is what I wanted to get to, is this thermostat. I left this off for a second too to see how much will come out. Check this out. Look at that. Coolant just keeps pouring out. So when you replace this, you gotta be kind of fast. So I'm checking the old one, and it looks like I'm gonna put it back in there. So hopefully you guys seen when I pulled this guy out, it just kept leaking. And I looked at the old thermostat. You want to make sure this little nubby guy is lined up with this like small hole breather, and these two go on this side. So look at it like that, and you're good. And like I was saying, this thermostat, when you move it out the way, it just continues to leak and leak. So I'm gonna set up the camera on that side, hopefully, just so you guys can see what I'm doing. And now I'm putting in the new thermostat. Alright guys, that's the best camera angle I could get for y'all. Hopefully it keeps recording. But I'm gonna pull the old thermostat out now. Like I said earlier, it's just gonna keep leaking, so it'll be kind of fast. I'm gonna set the thermostat in there the way I pulled it out. I want to eat that enchilada before I throw that foil away.
Putting it in?
Check it out, guys. I'm gonna be fast because it's always leaking. This little round piece goes up top. There's a small indentation up top for this guy to pop into. And you see that? Look. See? I think it is, honestly. But up here, you see that little indentation? I had it over here, so I wasn't about to jam it in there. I'm like, nah, it's gotta sit flush, I guarantee you. And yep, that round piece equals top, so it goes up here and it sits flush perfectly. Now, I'm gonna clean up the housing a little bit by like wiping this piece with emery cloth. And Dad brought up a good point. If you got this leak and you're looking at it, check the inside of the housing. Make sure the housing ain't cracked. Because who knows, could be the aluminum that's cracked, because I pulled my thermostat out and the seal felt pretty good. So I'm hoping this is it. I'm pretty sure it is. Because I see these two coolant lines back here, but if you look right below them, it's super dry. I was only getting wetness around my thermostat. So once you got it in there right, clean up your thermostat housing where the hose goes, and then we can put it all back together. Guys, I lightly scruffed this up with some emery cloth. It looks like it's just the metal that's what do you call it, eroding, or shoot, I don't know what you call that, but tell I scuffed it up a little. It's pretty clean, feels smooth. But yeah, cleaned up this ground a little bit. I need to clean under right there, and I emery cloth where the hose will be matting up with it. And all you do after that, you just take the boy and set it back up the way it was. So, like that. With the hose facing you again. I'm gonna wipe that wire on the bottom. I know eventually I'll pull my battery out, pull my air intake out, and then I'll prep all of that so I can paint it silver again. But until then, I'm dang, oh look. I hope this wasn't it. You see that hose? Better not be, because I tightened that and I put it against the surface, and I was just feeling now, it feels like coolant's on the bottom of it. But yeah, I'm gonna wipe the thermostat and then I'll record when I'm tightening it. Alright guys, so I'm just gonna barely thread the top bolt in, and I'm gonna slowly thread both of them at the same time, so that way it creates a nice flush, so it mats on there nice and flush. That one's gonna be a little more difficult because it's hard to reach back here, but as long as you take your time, it'll be easy. Alright, so I snugged them both up. Now I'm just going over them right now. Back thermostat bolt with the ratchet. So if I were you guys, I'd just make sure these bolts are snug. And you don't want to tighten too tight because you don't want the sucker to break in there. But I think it's a nice seal. I think it's sealed real good. It's nice and tight on both sides. Now you get started on putting the. Usually, I've seen that you might get a check engine light if your thermostat is going bad, but
Tristan got some from.
not all the time. The wind's picking up in here, so now I'm pop the sensor back on. He's on. You could barely see it when I clipped it in. It was down here. I wiped that up a little bit. Now I can take my hose up here. Now, shove them back over. And I always go till it touches the back of the thermostat. So once it's touching the body, then you can bring your gasket, your clamp back up. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna tighten that guy. Dang, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I'm in here tightening that clamp from here. The whole time I'm rubbing my thumb right here. And it looks like, I don't know, maybe this seal, maybe there's a gasket between the EGR valve and the piece that goes to the body. Because it's like it's greasy or something. I just replaced my valve covers, so it shouldn't be my valve covers. But yeah, check out the headers. They're doing pretty good. Got these guys tight, so now I'm gonna add some coolant. Earlier I thought I was gonna take this hose off, I didn't. So I'm gonna fill up my petcock and get my good coolant and put it back in. Cause that coolant I had in there was clean. Shouldn't have any problems with putting it back in. But I'm gonna add coolant now, and I'll actually go through the owner's manual and show you guys how the owner's manual recommends you burp the air out the system. Alright guys, had to look through here. It's number 259. When you're adding to it, pour coolant into the radiator cap to the base of the filler neck. So right at that bottom part, once the coolant's sitting where that little tab is, here I'll show you right now. Like look at this. It's not completely full because you can still see the fins of the radiator, so I'm gonna add a little more. But for the 6-cylinder models, fill it up to the filler neck. It tells you how much it holds. So you should be good with 1 gallon if you reuse what you put in the radiator. So, and then for the 6 cylinders, fill the radiator with coolant up to base filler neck, fill the reserve tank to the max mark, install the reserve tank cap, and then install the radiator cap and tighten it to the first stop. I always have my reservoir cap down here, so that way it don't flop over when I'm pulling this guy out. Because I hardly ever fill it in while it's in there. I pull it out. Make it easier for yourself. So what I got left in here, I'm gonna dump in here, and then I'll add to the max line like the owner's manual says. See, I'm glad I used what was left in there. So now I only have a little bit to get to the max. And you look in there, you can see the coolant is now above those fins. So I would say it's at the filler neck. See it, fluid moving right there? So now, fill this guy up to max, and then, alright, so once you fill this to max, it says to put the filler cap on. Take the radiator cap. And what they mean by the first stop, I failed to say this last time. So when you push down and you turn it, if you turn very slow, the cap will stop right there. So that's first stop, and when you tighten it, that's second stop. So Put your cap on, turn it, and then boom, it'll stop right here. You'll feel it too, the bit of resistance before you pop it over. So, little loose. You can see it won't come off right there. And now, oh shoot. Well, I was gonna say before my owner's manual flipped over, make sure everything's on. Like, look at that. I didn't even check that. That's what I'm saying. Make sure everything's on. Make sure your clamps are tight. And if you're really suspicious, go back over your thermostat bolts. But I'm not going to. So now I'm gonna tighten this bad boy right here. Tighten this. Put this back up here so the cable isn't hanging. And that's one thing for sure you guys want to check is if you got cruise control, make sure there's no tension on your throttle cable. Because if, say, if it is pushed down like this, it would rev the engine and you blow all kinds of coolant out. But do the first stop, check everything in here, make sure nothing's in the way, nothing's gonna get caught in the fans. Then we'll start the engine and let it run until the radiator cooling fan comes on, at least twice. And I'll show you guys right now what I do. I've seen videos before, you know, shoot, their Honda takes 15 minutes before the cooling fans even start. So, and I like to put the heater on high, put the heater all the way up, and put the heater on high. Don't worry about my check engine light. The check engine light's from my high flow cat. So yeah. Now we gotta wait. I'm gonna sit here and watch. So far, so good. I just lost my spot on the page. Sounds like one of these guys are loose or something, so I'm gonna check those, make sure those are tight. Get down here. Alright. So far, fans haven't turned on. That's to be expected. Yeah. We'll have a video soon on replacing that pulley. The tensioner pulley, because you hear it rattling. Yeah. Everything's still looking good. That heater valve hasn't melted or anything from the heat. So if you guys are wondering how it does with the heat, it's alright. And so I'm waiting for my fans to kick on. Let's see, it says, so after your fans go off at least twice, stop the engine, then that's when you can take the radiator cap off. Make sure you do it slow. And then fill it up to the base neck one more time. And make sure the reserve tank is still at the max. And then after you do that, start the engine and hold it at 1500 until the radiator fan comes on. Turn off the engine, check coolant level, and add coolant if needed. And that's it. You guys want to take a picture of this screenshot? There you go. She's idling pretty good. I mean, it's real quiet even with that exhaust on it. Look at that. I know that's from the hose. When it spins up, it's just spitting right there. That sucks. Alright. She's running good. And I guarantee you guys, you know, if you're waiting like 20 minutes, usually every single car out there, those fans don't start running till it gets to 210 degrees. And that's always right in the middle. So once your heater gets to the middle, that's when your fans are going to turn on. Because that's when it's going to start overheating and the fans cool it. Is that in there all the way?
Yeah.
You can really hear that sucker rattling now. Oh, I thought I wasn't recording. Right there. And watch it while you jack it up, guys, because this could come back too far and it'll just drop. I think that's good, Dad. How high does it got to be?
Level right now. Look at it. It looks level.
Check out the exhaust, guys. You have to have a leak. But then again, there's only a leak when I was hitting VTEC. Man, she heated up. Are you away from the fans?
What?
Oh yeah, look what Dad was doing. It's another trick to get all the air out the system. Squeeze your hose from here to the radiator. Fans still haven't come on. But I was about to say, if I hit that defrost, I know the fans will turn on.
Kicked in?
Because I hit the defroster.
The heat working in there?
Oh yeah, it's toasty in there. Well, I'm thinking it's good so far, y'all. Definitely a pulley because you hear it get louder when the gas is going. Well, ran it at 1500 RPMs for how long was that?
4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. But still, fans ain't kicking on. I know they work because when I press the yeah, the heater's on. The heater's on.
Turn it off.
Oh.
Because it'll kick on. You're getting all the heat out of the engine.
Yep. I think Dad told me that last time and then the fans turned on. But
that's how you stop your vehicle from overheating. Turn the heater on full blast.
So now the heater's off. I get a few more minutes. I was thinking go run it on the highway and hit VTEC. So you make sure that thermostat's really not leaking. Because only when I hit VTEC it'd leak. So far so good. Well,
25 minutes.
25 minutes later and
They just went off again.
the fans turned on. So leave the heat off after you get warm in there. You can see this, the radiator cap is smoking. You see that little bit of smoke? I was freaking out. I'm like, oh great. And Dad's like, it's your radiator cap. It's a radiator cap. I'm like, oh. One thing after another. But look at that. If I shove that in there, the smoke comes from right here. You can just kind of see it. But yeah, so I don't think it's probably not the radiator cap. I'm asking the group to see for sure, y'all. But if you look in there, I did spill a good amount of coolant.